This green tea was roasted in a pan. During the roasting process, the tea leaves changed their color, chemical composition, and flavor to produce an entirely different cup. In this video, we're going to learn all about Kamairicha green tea, and we're going to compare it with a typical Japanese green tea like sencha. So first, what is Kamairicha green tea? The name roughly translates to pan-roasted tea, and that's exactly what it is. This pan-roasting process began in China, but it eventually made its way over to Japan. The reason this step became so important in the world of Chinese green tea is because the tea leaves need to be heated almost immediately after harvest. After the tea leaves are picked, they begin to oxidize as the stem is exposed to the oxygen in the air. The enzyme oxidase inside the tea leaves will begin to convert the polyphenols into theaflavins and thearubicins, making the tea leaves brown and turning the tea into a black tea. In order to deactivate the enzyme oxidase, a farmer will apply intense heat to the tea leaves after harvest. This locks in the more grassy, vegetal flavors of the leaf, and because the leaves maintain their green color, it's known as a green tea. In China, this pan-firing method is by far the most common way to make green tea. The leaves are turned in a large hot pan, and because they're cooked, they have more of a warm, nutty flavor profile. In Japan, the tea producers have taken a different direction. Heat is still applied to the leaves after harvest, but it's done through steam. By steaming the tea leaves, they take on an even deeper shade of green, and the vegetable notes become even more intense. This is why Japanese green teas have such a vibrant green color and an intense flavor that's been compared to edamame or even seaweed. In southern Japan, you can still find tea farmers making green tea using the traditional Chinese pan-firing method. This Kamairicha green tea takes on a flavor much different than the typical sencha teas you'll find around Japan. In fact, it's more similar to a Chinese green tea. Before we compare the flavors of Kamairicha green tea and sencha, I think it's important to introduce one more Japanese green tea, and that's Hojicha. With its dark brown leaves and reddish colored liqueur, Hojicha may look more like a black tea, but it's actually a type of green tea. The leaves are not oxidized after harvest, but they are roasted, heavily. Hojicha is roasted for longer than Kamairicha green tea, and it's roasted at a higher heat. This more intense roasting process produces even stronger roasted flavors, which are often compared to coffee and even dark chocolate. So while sencha is an unroasted tea and Hojicha is a fully roasted tea, Kamairicha is somewhere in the middle. It has some of these warm, toasted almond flavors, but it still maintains a little bit of the vegetal notes. We're going to compare the flavor of the Chanoka Kamairicha with the Fukumushi Yamaga no Sato, one of the most popular sencha teas at neoteas.com. What makes the Yamaga unique is that it's a Fukumushi sencha, so the leaves are steamed for a longer time. During these few extra seconds of steaming, the tea leaves are broken down, and it allows the water to extract more from them. This is why Fukumushi senchas have a strong green color and an intense but well-balanced flavor. If we compare the leaves, we notice that the Chanoka Kamairicha is rolled into these kama shapes. When the tea is rolled in a pan, it takes on these curly shapes, and it's an easy way to identify a Kamairicha tea. Sencha, on the other hand, goes through a rolling phase while the leaves are still pliable. Japanese teas are often characterized by these needle-shaped leaves, which come from the fine-tuned rolling machines. Gyokuro, the most prized leaf tea in Japan, goes through an additional rolling phase to get these even tighter needle shapes. But the longer steaming process makes the leaves more brittle, so they break into these smaller leaf particles. This is how you can spot a Fukumushi sencha. It will have this deep, jade green color and smaller leaf particles mixed into the needles. By contrast, the leaves of Kamairicha are slightly duller because they are not steamed. If you think about when you cook spinach, the color actually gets more green when you steam it, and the same thing happens for tea leaves. But let's brew these teas up. We'll be using 70 degrees Celsius or 160 degrees Fahrenheit and a brewing time of 1 minute. The reason we use a cooler temperature for green tea is because they are rich in catechins. Catechins are an antioxidant found in tea leaves, and they can produce a bitter flavor in the tea. Luckily, it's mostly extracted at higher temperatures, so if you keep the temperature low, you can avoid bitterness in your green tea. Right away, you notice a big difference in the two teas. The Yamaga has a vibrant greenish-yellow color to it, and the Kamairicha green tea is more yellow. The flavor of the Yamaga is sweet, savory, and it has a steamed asparagus finish. More surprisingly, there is also a nice fruitiness in this tea, with notes of lychee berries. The Kamairicha green tea, on the other hand, has more of these warmer flavor profiles of toasted almonds and cashew. There is a hint of nori in this Kamairicha green tea, which lets you know that it's still green and not completely roasted like a Hojicha. If you really want to experience this classic, unapologetically green Japanese tea, you should definitely try the Yamaga, especially as a cold brew. If you want to experience something a little bit more complex and nuanced, this new Kamairicha green tea we found in Uji is a really nice treat. If you want, you can visit our website neoteas.com and try all the best teas we found during our travels around Japan. We have all the teas we mentioned in the videos like Hojicha, Kamairicha, sencha, and more. Another way to support this channel is by liking this video and subscribing to see more tea videos in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.